Hi, everyone. This is Minister Patricia, and I'm here for this week's, what is this called? our live session on Facebook. My checking in and my, what else am I doing here? Trying to share a good word that will be encouraging for whoever may hear it. And, uh, and then from a personal perspective, getting my voice back, um, and being consistent with ministry. And one of the things that this is doing is slowly but surely building so that my plan is when I'm in retirement that I'm going to do ministry full time or more of the time, I guess, in my retirement stage. And also, and I thought about this today because I entitled it Memories That Were Sparked Today, or and that kind of thing. But wrote around TCU area, Texas Christian University area. So what came to mind there was when I got my master's degree, I had planned to do some teaching, so adjunct professorship. So that's another thing that I'm doing. I'm going to be doing in retirement. So ministry and adjunct professorship, and then other things that lend themselves to that kind of thing. I have some other ideas too, but they all kind of follow that. They're all kind of in that same area. So just in case anybody was wondering, what is she doing? Why is she doing this? And da da da. So I'm being consistent for that reason. I'm building, and I know it's a slow build, and that's purposeful because there's a minute before I'll be ready to retire. Oh, but I ain't that old. So so there's that, and yeah. So this today was pretty full. So happy Sunday, everybody. Hope you had a great Sunday. And today was a pretty full day. Went to family and friends service with my sister, and my mom was also with us for that. And I was thinking about it today, and I'm like, the whole thing is pretty much family and friends because the church that she goes to, I met the family back, and we're like family. That's why I say the whole thing is like family and friends. I met them back when I was in the 8th grade, and my friend in school, my classmate Amy, invited me to her church. Amy and I were fellow twirlers in middle school together, and she invited me to her church. And this church, Greater Mount Tabor, is the name of the church in Fort Worth, and they came to Port Arthur, the founding pastor, to do a revival for Reverend Fabian Jacko, who was pastoring the St. John Baptist Church. For those in Port Arthur's Old St. John over on Grannis. And so he brought the pastor there to preach revival. And as I said, my friend Amy invited me to go. It was her church home. And so I met the family then. I was 14. They had a daughter. Oh, they have a daughter that was the same age as us. So we all kind of were hanging out together. And then probably the next year, 9th grade, I believe, my sister moved to Dallas, and she began attending the church. And the pastor, Pastor Jacko, I think by that time or somewhere in the vicinity of that time, because again, I was 14, so it was an old 14, obviously, because I have all these stories. But Pastor Jacko got called to minister in a different city. I think that's when he went to Waco. And so then Daddy in his capacity as a gospel promoter and disc jockey, he started bringing the church to the area, to Port Arthur, to Beaumont, and to do revivals, continuing in that. And by this time, my sister is a member of the church, and so we have the revivals. And then on Friday, the church would come down. The whole choir would come, and church members and everybody would come, and it would just be lit. It was just awesome. They had an awesome album out at the time. I think it was entitled Thanksgiving for Victory, but it was off the chain. And the choir, I mean, everything was just lit. It was a good time. Pastor has a slew of children, 8 children, and several grandchildren, so that was huge. And then there were some members of the church that had really big families also. So yeah, it was a really good time. So that was back in the 80s, the early 80s. And then I went on vacation with them my junior year, or leading into junior or leading into senior year, somewhere in there. Went on church vacation with them to LA and to Oakland. Pastor preached in Oakland that Sunday, and just a good time, like family. So it was Family and Friends Day for our family. So praise God for that. Just some memory lane stuff I was going through today, thinking about all that. It's like, wow, it's really been a lot of years. So thanks be to God for that. So I said in the title that we are going back through, and I'm tired, y'all. I've been up since 5. So, and didn't get a nap this afternoon. So I'm trying to remember. And this is not thrown together because this was the plan this whole week to talk about this book and to talk about what we talked about on last week. And so I'm trying to get my train of thought back. What was I thinking about on this? Talking about thoughts too, that interesting. So last week we talked about capturing our thoughts, capturing our emotions, asking ourselves, how am I currently feeling? And what are the thoughts that's brought that into being? And then deciding after that, how do I want to feel? And maybe it's that same way that you're already feeling, and that's great if so. And but if it's a different way you want to feel, which is more than likely the case, then you want to ask yourself, what thoughts do I need to think to bring that into being, to have that result? So that a little short journaling exercise, a 4-step process that I went through on last week. So that was last Sunday evening, I believe is when we did the last live. And then I think it was maybe Monday, I had the stack of books that I'm plan to somehow, some way, someday read. And so I bought this book a few months ago and hadn't read it yet. So I looked at it and I was like, let me grab that and start reading that, because it's pretty, it's a little small pocket-sized book and everything, not a whole lot of pages and all that. So I was like, well, let me pick that up and start reading it. And God was setting me up, and I didn't realize it. But the title of the book is Reverse the Curse. So I was curious about that. And then the author is Annette Capps. And although I knew her name, I knew of her, I hadn't heard her minister before at the time, but I had heard her father, Charles Capps. I'd listened to him on several occasions. He's part of the Word of Faith group, if you will, movement, and just a wonderful teacher in the body. And so anyway, someone had suggested this book and I got it. And because I recognized the Capps name, I'm like, okay, this will be good to read. And I like the title, Reverse the Curse. I wanted to learn some more things about that. But what I didn't realize it was going to be was pretty much the same stuff I was talking about. And I'm not finished reading it. I'm just a couple of chapters in. But I didn't realize it would be the same things I was discussing last week, even though the subtitle says In Your Body and Emotions. So it's Reverse the Curse, In Your Body and Emotions by Annette Capps. In case anybody wants to grab this, you can grab it off Amazon or anywhere books are sold. So making a little plug for her book. And when my book comes out one day, that's something else I'll be doing in retirement, publishing books. So, yeah, I was about to say something, but I'm not going to say it. So, praise the Lord. Not only friends come to this thing, there's a whole bunch of enemies coming on here too. So, got to watch what you say. Glory to Jesus. I wish they would find better things to do with their life and time. So, I just wanted to, like I said, her book goes into the same types of things where you want to lasso in those emotions and get their thoughts under control. And the way we feel is always fueled by our thoughts, always. And that's something we don't really consider. We just think we feel how we feel. And then if we don't become self-aware, if we don't bring those things to our attention so that we can deal with them, then they'll just fester. We'll just keep going over it and over it again, and it'll take over, and then it'll lead to other things, which she is discussing in the book. And we always talk about how the mind is the battleground and all of that. But I just wanted to read a little bit of the book, and then I'll be out of your hair, because I don't know, they're probably somebody's still playing right now, probably. I'm not sure what time it is. Cowboys are probably done by now, and I hadn't been watching, so hopefully they're doing well. So that may be winding up now, and then there's probably some games coming on tonight. But depression is the passage I want to read about. She says, how does a person fall into the depths of depression? I've had people tell me it just comes over me and I don't know what happens. Another person may say, I can't control my emotions. I cry all the time. I just can't help it. There is nothing wrong with crying. It is only when you can't control your emotions that you enter a dangerous area. You must constantly monitor your decision-making process by checking up on your thought patterns. If you let your mind wander and do anything it wants to, you're not in control of your spirit. You can't let it feed on soap operas, adultery, sickness, and disease. If you allow these things to pass through your gates and go into your inner city, you will be ruined. You will have, and previously she's describing protecting our heart the way in Bible times they guarded a city with walls. So that's where this reference comes through. So she says, if you allow these things to pass through your gates and into your inner city, you will be ruined. You will have holes in your wall. This is what happens to people who fall into the depths of depression. They say they don't know what happens, but something does happen. A thought comes into their mind. For example, at work, someone makes the offhanded remark, the job you did yesterday was not right, and you're going to have to do it over again this morning. No one said you're a failure. They said you'll need to do it again. It wasn't done properly. The thoughts come into your mind, you're a failure. You never do anything right. Everything you do is wrong. How could you be so stupid? When those thoughts come into your mind and you dwell on them, you begin to feel that you are a failure. Not only do you think it, you feel it. And the more you feel it, the more you think it. And the more you think it, the more you feel it, until it overcomes you. Soon you are in the pits of depression. You say, it just came over me. I don't know what happened. Because your mind had already been programmed, it accepted those thoughts as being true, and eventually depression was produced. If you had been guarding your thoughts, your decision-making process would have been exercised, and it would have rejected those thoughts. We need to monitor and guard the decision-making process diligently. Otherwise, it will become flabby, just like a muscle that's not used, and it will begin to deteriorate. And soon it will lose its power to decide, no, I reject that thought. That's the decision you want to make. No, I reject that thought. And not only do you now have a hole in your wall, but the walls are beginning to crumble. One thought, one statement, you're a failure, and the next thing that happens, everything that is said to you is negative and causes your depression to become deeper. Guard your walls. Keep a check on your mind. What is happening in the soul realm? Keep a check on your decision-making process. Satan knows if he can get past those walls and into your inner man, he can destroy you, which is his goal, to steal, to kill, and to destroy. So I just wanted to read a little bit about that, and I just wanted to bring that to light because of what we went over last week, because it's confirmation, because I didn't know that book was about that. I saw Reverse the Curse, and I was expecting to hear some things about more curse specific than more emotion and thought driven. So it's interesting, this dynamic of how those things work together. But one other thing happened too, and that is she came up on my YouTube. And it wasn't that I was talking about this, because I just picked up the book. I didn't say anything to anybody. I didn't read it out loud like I'm doing now. So my phone couldn't have picked it up. There's no reason it should have come in YouTube. And as I said, I'd never I heard of her father. I've listened to his messages, but I had never listened to her. So she came up in my YouTube, and her message for that was that we are being, and this isn't the title, but the gist of it is that we are being processed mentally and spiritually for the things that are coming. So whatever's going to be unleashed on this world, and that's one of the things, and I should have put the hashtag again for what's our thing called? Okay, come on, Trish. What's that word I had? Preparedness. Preparedness. There was another word that went with that. But it'll come to me. But the whole thing that we've been talking about with all of this getting ready, getting our pantries ready, having enough water, having cash on hand, having your medicines filled, just whatever you would need in case of an emergency, in case of a lockdown, in case of whatever. So she's her YouTube was talking about the same thing, and she said the same thing that I had been feeling, and that is we don't know what we were preparing for, but she feels like, God is saying we need to prepare. I believe that too. We have some prophets that are truly prophets that have been saying the same thing, that we need to get ready, we need to prepare. And some of the prophets that I've heard have said a few things that I'll share right now, and that is one thing one lady saw was that we were like lulled into complacency, that we felt like everything was good now, the pandemic is under control, and we're back to normal and all is well. And what she saw, she had an open vision, and she saw the beach and people going out into the water, but she was warning them, no, because there's danger. But they were like, oh, frolicking around, we're at the beach, da 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 da, and they weren't heeding. And what happened was either a killer whale or a shark or something. And whatever this type of fish that she saw, it wasn't one that was common to that area. And it has some other characteristics that made it that it shouldn't have been there. However, because the people wouldn't heed the call and were like, oh, everything's fine, the water's fine, we're going back in, they ended up getting devoured by this whale or shark or whatever it was that she saw. So that was one thing that was brought out by a prophet. Another prophet that I listened to said that she believes some things similar to COVID, that there's another pandemic, but perhaps giving off symptoms or looking like it's mad cow's disease. So the way that mad cow's disease present, not that it will be that, but that it has those similar symptoms. And even the lady who talked about the beach, she talked about whatever it was that was coming was going to affect people's minds. And then this second lady talking about mad cow's disease type of a presentation referred also to the mind being affected. And then another prophet feels like something like we just had recently when the airports were shut down because of a computer glitch. He feels like some more stuff like that is coming in connection with the election. And like some people other countries are trying to play in our face with the election and rig stuff or try to do something similar to that thing that happened with that computer glitch. And so that's what he believed, that he has heard from God. And then another prophet heard that there will be, more than one prophet, wars. And, the Bible talks about wars and rumors of wars. So again, we don't know what we're preparing for, but we want to be prepared. Preparedness lifestyle. That's the hashtag that I used last time. And so that's where God has me, because personally, I would love to just stick my head in the sand and forget it all. But when it was the ostrich sticks its head in the sand, the derriere is up in the air exposed. So, we can't do that. We got to make sure that We won't get taken up out of here by acting ignorantly. So so preparedness lifestyle, we just want to be connected to God. We want to be listening. We want to be able to be in position where we can listen, and we want to have things. And I'm still going to get you that compilation, but in the meantime, before I get the list, you can go to, I believe it's one of the government websites. I believe it's ready.gov. Try that, ready.gov, or maybe it's prepare.gov. But on there, there's a whole host of things that you can do in various situations, like if you're facing a hurricane, if you're facing flooding, if you're facing ice storms, snowstorms, the whole thing. So go there in the meantime of me compiling a list. My list is going to be what I saw there and what I've gleaned from being on some calls with others that are preparing. So yeah, that's coming. But for now, go there so you can start getting some things together, and don't be worried about it. Don't stick your head in the sand, but at the same time, don't be worried. Cast your cares onto God. Ask Him, what is it that you need to do to get ready? And you may be more ready than you realize. So let Him lead and guide you into the things that you need to do, and let Him show you like who's going to be in your community, so you can work together. Not somebody sitting and relying on the other, but everybody bringing what they got together, so that nobody will be in some stuck out situation. If, when, and if, and however, whatever is coming. And I personally also feel that, not that it won't be some drastic thing that happens, but I just think we're going to be gradually brought into this new normals, and like we'll hear this happen, and we kind of keep on going, and then something else happens and we just keep on going, and all of that, and so I think that, again, and I'm not saying there's not going to be some big huge thing. There could be, and sticking the head in the sand part of me is hoping no, but anyway, God will get us ready and show us what we need to do for our lives, for those that are under our care, and that sort of thing. And if it is a lulling, if it is a things just gradually changing, we just kind of keep on pushing and don't really pay attention to stuff, that if we live this preparedness lifestyle, then we won't have to worry as much. And so yeah, so we'll talk more about that, and when I talk more on that specifically, the first thing that I want to talk about is are the scriptures, faith building scriptures to use in this season. And then after I go through those, the next time will be that compilation, that as fully exhaustive list as I could come up with, and not that I got it all, because I told y'all to go to the government website and look over there, but just different ideas and things that people have suggested to me, and things that I'm working on myself to get, and all of that. So that'll be the second part. But today we just wanted to go back over, since God, I just picked up this one, like I got 99 books I need to read. Hey, I can probably knock this one out pretty fast, and look, just 2-3 chapters in here. So that's how life be life. And I think it's just the enemy coming, because he knows I love to read. So I think it's just him trying to mess with something. So we're gonna get him all the way together. So yeah, so the way God did this, by this book reiterating the things from last week, and then she showing up on YouTube and talking about the same thing. So yeah, we gotta get that mind together, so that we will be prepared. The devil won't be able to trip us up or run us crazy, because of the stressors that are coming with whatever is going to be happening in this world. And one thing I like, Prophetess Tara Carissa, I like that she says, oh shoot, now that I'm trying to quote people, I need some sleep, y'all. But she says, well, this is paraphrasing, but the world will be, yeah, here, I think I got it. The world will be going through, but the saints will be going up. And she don't mean a rapture in heaven. That's coming too. But she just means on this side, you know, if we listen to God, we're going to be all right. So the world may be going through, but the saints will be going up. So y'all be blessed and sayonara. Y'all have a good one and y'all get some sleep and pray for me that I get some too. In the mighty name of Jesus. God bless you. Till next time, Mr. Patricia. Bye-bye.